From Yarm to Yibby, Harrington to Horsley Hill, Swalwell to Silverlink. Steve and Rye, the North East Footy Breakfast.
Right across the North East, the Red, the Toon and the Cat.
Oh, it's going to be a long show.
How do we start it? There's only one way we can start it. One second, fellas, 1 second. A moment of pause, please, for effect. Oh, yes. The glorious 1970 England World Cup squad that came home from Mexico in disgrace. But we'll skip over that one briefly. What can we say, fellas, apart from Scotland 1, England 3. Good morning, Macca. How are you, mate?
Good morning. Is that the show over now, is it? So that's not the one. We all go home now, yeah?
Love it.
In the words of the late great Windsor Davies, oh dear, how sad. Never mind.
It was only a friendly. We keep my eyes on the prize. That's qualification in Germany.
And what is the prize if it's not beating England, mate? What's the prize?
The prize is getting to the Euros in 2024.
Oh, right, okay.
We only need another 2 points. We hope that Georgia and Norway would do us a favour and get it like with draw, but Georgia scored late, and obviously it was a 2-1 win for Norway.
Yeah.
Haaland scored again.
I'm detecting tones that Borough fans tend to use at the moment. We'll concentrate on the cup this season.
Yeah.
Don't bring us into it.
Yeah. Well, the league's written off already, mate. Come on, let's be honest. We'll
win the whole thing.
We're going to concentrate on the Carrier Bag Cup. That's what we're going to focus on. Absolutely. Yeah. Because we're still in that.
Scotland's concentrating on the Euros. That's right.
Yeah. Good morning, boys. Steve.
Good morning, Dave.
How's Tyneside?
Tyneside's a little bit cold. There's a nip in the air. There is a nip in the air, and there's been a ground frost in Scotland. And when they start saying ground frost in Scotland, you know winter's not far away. But not too bad, mate. There's no rain, there's no floods, there's no. We've just got to be thankful for that, mate. Everything's okay here.
And I bet you didn't see the comet this morning, did you? Did anybody see the comet this morning? Let's forget Rye, because he's like standing on his head, and it's daytime when it's nighttime here. So he's got no idea where the comet. I've got no idea where the comet is in the southern sky. So anybody see the comet this morning? No, closest to the Earth. You could see it this morning just before sunrise. No,
I can't say I did. No.
Okay, well, we'll get off astronomy and back to football then. Rye, how's Oz?
It's not too bad today. We've got a beautiful sunshiny day. We're hopefully getting into our springtime here, and lovely blue skies. I didn't actually get to say good morning to Steve as we jumped in the call earlier. I normally give a big hello to Steve, and we were just talking about England-Scotland, weren't we? And I was singing the song, so good morning, Steve. It's good to see you, mate.
Yeah, well, I watched it. I've got to be honest. I wasn't that excited about it, so I put it on, and it was a better game than I thought it was going to be. I mean, probably the best part for Scotland was the teams coming onto the pitch and the flower
and then walking off.
I mean, that was pretty good. Let's face it, that was pretty good. The whole crowd in unison. I mean, like Macca said yesterday, they do know how to party up there, and they were certainly bang up for it, but. Once the game kicked off, it really did seem like men against boys, and it was a matter of time. I mean, I was in a WhatsApp group of a couple of, all Newcastle fans, but there's a couple of Scottish fans amongst our support in our WhatsApp group, and the banter was great, to be fair. Like, it never stopped. It was continuous, and I think we all agreed on one thing, that if Harry Maguire came on, Scotland would have a chance of pulling something back. As sure as eggs is eggs. As soon as Maguire comes on, that's it. And Trippier got beaten on the left hand side. A ball gets whipped in, and Maguire just finishes, from point blank range. So
great finish.
It was a good finish.
It gives Scotland a bit of hope, but Harry Kane then did what he does best, and finished the game off for England. But I mean, overall, I was impressed with Phil Foden again. I mean, he single-handedly destroyed Newcastle. I mean, 1-0. It could have been 3 or 4-0 when we played Man City, to be fair, at the Etihad. And Phil Foden again was absolutely superb last night, and I really don't know why he doesn't get more of a chance at Man City. You know, I understand rotation, etc., but he was a standout man for England last night. Lewis Dunk must have been over the moon with his performance. He'll have been disappointed that they didn't keep a clean sheet, but you know, Lewis Dunk played well, I thought, as well, for his only second cap in about 4 or 5 years. You know, as we know, Harry Maguire's been keeping him out, and yeah.
Just another 1 hour and 50 minutes to go. Oh, it's going to be a long.
I was disappointed. I was disappointed not to see Callum Wilson get a run out. You know, I mean, the game was over. Once
true.
Harry Kane had scored, he should have got a little cameo. But there was one or two who didn't make it onto the pitch, which was disappointing. Gareth Southgate, I think that the other talking point from an England perspective, before we sit back and listen to Macca's excuses, are that essentially that Gareth Southgate came out, in his press conference, and he upset a lot of England fans with his comments about Phil Foden, more or less saying he couldn't play in a central midfield role, and that Pep sticks him out on the left. You know, there was an absolute meltdown of Newcastle United proportions on the England timeline yesterday, where people were saying Southgate should go, he should resign, he should be sacked. This was before the big kickoff, and I thought, wow, the people are clearly not happy, with Gareth Southgate. So, all in all, look, I said this yesterday. I'm not a huge follower. I'm not a huge fan of England. I'm a casual observer of England. But, with regards to Southgate, he has done a great job. But I think it's because his sides aren't attacking enough. They're not dynamic enough, and he tends to stick with the same personnel. And there just seems to be, a growing momentum to get him out of the job. And I imagine he'll fall on his sword rather than be pushed. And I think the FA will allow him to do that, which of course will open the door for speculation as to who's next.
And there was a Borough connection with that game yesterday at Hampden, and I'm sure most Middlesbrough fans won't realise the last England player, actually there were two own goals in the last time there was a game when England scored an own goal. The last own goal to be scored by an England player, Colin Todd, former Borough manager. There you go.
Wow.
Hey, there you go. Thanks for bringing us into that as well.
And we've lambasted Maguire a bit, and I mean, the one thing that I'll agree with Southgate was, I mean, people, getting on Maguire's back as soon as
they're on him. Yeah.
I mean, that really was, as Gareth Southgate rightly called it, a joke. I mean, the guy's pulling on an England shirt. You're there to support England. Getting on his case, singing songs against him, booing him. I mean, I understand it when it's club football, and if it's Manchester United versus Manchester City or Manchester United versus Liverpool, where of course there's a big rivalry, that's fair enough. But in Scotland fans having a go at Harry Maguire, fair enough, have a go. Although you should be applauding the guy. I mean, he scored your goal. But with regards to England fans, come on, give the guy a break. You know what I mean? The guy's a professional. The guy's done so well. He's led us to a major final, a major semi-final. Okay, we didn't win those games, but give the guy a break. I don't understand what he's done. I don't really understand what he's done wrong to get that kind of criticism from his own fans.
I fell for him. Obviously, I'm a a sideline reporter for this game, but when he came on, my goodness, I put in our group chat here we go. Here's Scotland's best chance, because it's just Harry Maguire, and then lo and behold, did he come fruitful for that? And but the criticism that bloke gets, and it must mentally just drain you. I mean, you go back to club football, you're not getting a game. And then when you do get a game, you're getting booed, and you're getting the most rough reception, whether you're home or away. And then you go and pull on your international shirt, the country club, and it's just literally you get booed again, and even from the England fans. So it must mentally just drain you, and you can tell, it's just playing a part in him. He's a shell of what he formerly used to be, I reckon, in Harry Maguire, and it's sad. It is sad, but it's part of being football, I guess, and being a footballer that's, well known, and, he just doesn't do himself justice, does he, with that lazy leg obviously going in. I thought Andy Robertson should be copping a bit of flack for that amazing pass to Bellingham, by the way. Andy Robertson, obviously Scotland and Liverpool must have thought Jude Bellingham must have signed for Liverpool and passed him in, because that pass from Andy Robertson straight to Jude was incredible. Good setup there by Robertson. So it was a good game. I had to tune in.
Go on,
I had to tune in at 4:30 a.m.
Oh, what? 4:30 a.m.
Yeah, that was the game for us. Yep.
Are you an owl?
I'm an early riser, mate.
Early riser, late to bedder. In other words, he doesn't sleep. Macca, you were chomping at the bit there, trying to get in. Go on, son.
I was just saying I always liked New Zealand. I thought they were better than Australia, definitely.
Oh, dear. Here we go.
Oh, my goodness.
Deflection tactic.
Yeah, you should be trying to make friends with Rye this morning.
No, yeah, I'm on your side here. I thought Scotland did well. Honestly, until Andy Robertson did, obviously let them in. I thought Scotland were doing well, and you had like, you can tell that is Scotland's best team, for years. I mean, the lineup, the way it was looking for Scotland and that, and you guys came out, quite strong. I thought in the first sort of 10-15, but I tell you what, there is one man on that pitch that is just incredible. And you know what? A lot of people laughed when Birmingham retired his number, but Jude Bellingham is a different player. I tell you, he is incredible. And how old is he? Is he 22? 20?
20.
He's 20 years old. I mean, my goodness, the guy's going to be a star. You know what I mean? And I think we said pre-show, Macca, if you've got half the player he is in his brother down at Sunderland, shoosh.
Yeah. No, I have to make an apology on the show because to everyone, it was just a non-event. It was just not a spectacle at all. I've got to apologise on behalf of Scotland because it just didn't turn up. We were dreadful. From minute one, England controlled the game really, and I think that Scotland's midfield just couldn't get going. Again, McTominay, they were getting pulled about by, pulled out of position by Calvin Phillips, and England just dominated all over the pitch, unfortunately, as much as it pains to say it. And Andy Robertson, of all the players you would have thought would have made an error, wasn't expected, although he did sort of make up for it by putting the cross in for the goal, but...
Macca, how much of this is emotion, mate? Because I didn't think Scotland were that bad. I just thought England on the night were fantastic. And who's making that noise?
I know. I wonder.
Sounds like somebody's on a shooting gallery at a fun fair or arcade. Is that you? Is that you, Rye? Are you bashing away your keyboard?
It might have been me. I was just having a bit of a shake up of my drink. It's just been sitting here for a little while. I apologise.
Yeah, it's a funny sounding drink, mate. There's lots of ice in there.
It is.
I really don't think Scotland played that bad. Mind you, I thought Graham Souness, who was on TV, is probably on something because he reckons this is the greatest England team he's seen and they're going to win some silverware. So I think he's definitely been sniffing the barmaid's apron somewhat.
I think Scotland, we just didn't. That's what's annoying is that we can play a lot better than that, and we didn't do ourselves justice at all. I mean, we only really got into it more when England sort of took their foot off the pedal. But from an England point of view, obviously, he played well in the first half, but then he sort of dropped off in the second again. But the thing is, Scotland, you can't give like Harry Kane the room that he got for the third goal, because he'll destroy you, and that's exactly what he's done. But I think Scotland have to just dust themselves down now and get back on the horse in October and try and get the 2 points that we need to qualify for the Euros. Because that is really ultimately what we wanted, And I did say when I was asked about buyers, I think it was Monday or yesterday, that would I take a win against England or a qualification to the Euro 2024? Definitely qualification to the Euros. I did say that. So that is the prize. That Scotland's got to keep their eyes on the prize. Yes, it was hard. It was, but England, to be fair, were the much better team, and that was obviously down to Bellingham because he was just unplayable.
Steve, sorry, mate. I thought you'd finished there, Macca. I do apologise. I mean, just bearing in mind what Souness was saying, how good an England performance do you think that was?
I mean, I heard what Graham Souness said last night. I've got to be honest. This England team is a good England team. I put this above the Gerrard Lampard, Rooney team. I think they've been more committed, more focused. They've had far better performances. And like I say, we've been to a final and we've been to a semi-final, but it's always the bridesmaid, never the bride since '66 for England. And I think ultimately for me, I can see where Souness is coming from. Football's changed a lot since he played. I mean, he was talking specifically last night after the match about Bellingham and, heaping praise on him, and rightly so. And he was saying, in his day, in the 70s, he was considered a big midfielder. He says I'd be dwarfed in midfield, battles against, players like Bellingham. And he says, and he's only 20. So I think the future's bright. I think that was the point he was trying to make. I think Souness is probably one of the better pundits. It was good to see him on the coverage last night. I was pretty upset to see him leave Sky, to be honest. I'm not a Roy Keane fan as somebody who was a footballer, because he was the player you love to hate. But again, I like his analysis. I like Neville and Carragher together. I think we're blessed in the sense we do have some rather good pundits who talk a lot of sense. But I can see where Souness was coming from. I think again, you don't get carried away, because as we all know, this was a friendly, although people could question, like we did yesterday, is there ever such a thing as a friendly between Scotland and England? I just think it was a great game as far as the spectacle was concerned. At least it wasn't the draw that we were all talking about yesterday, and it wasn't a board draw. It wasn't a 0-0. There was
I wish it was.
And I bet you do, but there was something in it for everybody. And again, look, credit to the Scottish supporters for the atmosphere they created. I thought that in itself made anybody tuning in, any neutral around the world would have watched that and thought, wow, I wish we could have been there. And it was a good advert for the game. That it had a bit of feistiness in it as well, which as a friendly you don't necessarily expect to see that, but there was a little bit of to and fro between the two teams. And I think Macca's right in the sense that they've got to keep their eye on the prize. I also think because it was a friendly, I wouldn't be surprised if the Scottish team were getting an update on what was happening in Norway, and psychologically their mind's going to be on that game as well. And maybe at half time, when they came in and found that Norway were 2-0 up, I think that would have been a little bit of a blow, because it would have been nice for Scotland last night had the result gone their way in the Norway game, and the crowd would have been up for it. That would have probably resulted in the pressure being off, if you like. Now Scotland have got to wait a month. They've got to wait till October. Suddenly going to Spain becomes a fixture that you're looking at and going, well, actually, what if this happens? It's psychological. The psychology plays a big part in football, and that could have been a reason why Scotland were a little bit down in the second half, because the midfield was where the battle was going to be won. England dominated the midfield. Scotland have based their success in this group on the midfield, and ultimately the midfield. I felt the midfield let Scotland down last night, but as Dave's rightly said, you've got to give praise to England, because they were the better team on the night, and England's midfield just came out and performed. Scotland's didn't.
Do you think Jude Bellingham's the best midfielder in the world at the moment? I mean, the kid's 20 years old. He looked an absolute star on the international stage. Obviously, he's just gotten his move to Real Madrid from Barissa as well. Is Jude Bellingham going to be the best midfielder at the moment in the world, but for England as well? I mean, are we talking like David Beckham? We're
talking Gaza. You're talking a Gaza stroke David Beckham kind of player here. I mean, look, to go to Real Madrid at 20 years of age and be the star player after you've only been there a few weeks is absolutely incredible. And so England are blessed to have him in their team. This is the kind of player that we've been waiting for since Gaza hung up his boots, since Glenn Hoddle retired him. So ultimately for us, I would say 100%. This could be somebody now who England's next manager, because I don't think Southgate will be there long term. Will have the opportunity to build a team around, and I mean that's really special. That is really special, and that's probably why Souness last night was waxing lyrical about him, and also saying that England potentially have got an opportunity to finally end the trophy hoodoo, which has lasted longer than Newcastle United.
And let's not forget about.
I love him, Bernie.
Yeah, I was going to say, let's not forget about Bellingham. He's been showing his talent. He's been displaying his talent from a very young age, because he hasn't hung around clubs. because he's always been spotted and picked and plucked and positioned on a higher level at Birmingham. And he played 40 plus games for Birmingham before Borussia Dortmund came in. He played a couple of seasons with Dortmund. I don't think he even made 100 games for Dortmund before Real Madrid came in. So it's not as if he's just come onto the scene. He's been displaying this talent, this sublime talent from a very young age. And that's what I like about him. So though he's only 20 years of age, he's almost become an experienced player at such a tender age, Bellingham. And that's what I like about him.
As long as his brother is just as good.
If you get half of him.
I was wondering if we were going to get onto Sunderland. Hang on. Job.
Many of them have had to get off international football, so we need to do the headlines.
Oh, there we go again. Another body swerve detected. Another subject matter change detected. Do you get the feeling one of us on this program's a Scot?
Yeah.
I feel for you, Macca, because I feel like if Middlesbrough can't get at least a point or a win this weekend away to Ewood Point, I don't think I'll even rock up on Monday, mate. I feel for you so much. So I get it. It sucks. It does. It's a tough time.
Scotland get battered everywhere they go when I came on. So
I love that song. I had it on Twitter. I thought it was great. They had the trumpet going in the crowd. It was awesome.
Oh, seriously, Rye.
I missed that. Which song? I missed it.
I'll have to send it to you. There's a link. A couple of the Borough fans that I follow went away to the game, and they were in the crowd singing "Scotland get battered everywhere we go" with the Barmy Army trumpet going in loud force and stuff. It was a very, very good song.
I did note every time the England fans burst out into the national anthem, the Scottish fans booed, but that's tradition. That's happened since day one that they made 150 years ago, whatever it was.
Yeah. And England fans booed the Craig Brown silence, the tribute for Craig Brown.
What do you think of that, fellas? Steve, what do you think about all this booing national anthems and Craig Brown silence tribute moments?
I'm not somebody who would do it. I think that tells you, my stance on it. I don't agree with it. What's happened in recent years spontaneously amongst a crowd is if for example someone passes away like Craig Brown and there is a request by the stadium announcer to have a minute's silence, then what tends to happen nowadays is that the crowd spontaneously goes into applause. That's happened because of these incidents. That's because over the years you've either had someone start booing and other people follow, and it becomes an absolute nightmare for that period of respect. Or you have people coming in late who've had one too many and start singing or shouting or whatever, and then they get booed. So spontaneous applause has become the norm at football stadiums around the world, and some of these people have now said. Some of these clubs now have come around and said, "Look, we're gonna have a minute's applause," and I think that's a better way of doing it, because that just kills anybody with any animosity or anybody who's trying to mischief make within the stadium. It kills it dead. So that's the answer to the problem. But yeah, it's not right. I don't agree with it. And ultimately, you're never going to change the mentality of certain people who want to come with that kind of attitude. And it's very similar to taking the knee. That was something which was brought in, around the world with the Black Lives Matter campaign and the murder of George Floyd. And ultimately, it was done for the right reason. And unfortunately, some people in football stadiums around the world completely disagree with it. So when people were taking the knee, you had people around the world booing, and and that again is. It's unacceptable behaviour, but it's something that you can't prevent. And it's all right, football clubs saying we're going to clamp down people who are seen booing or doing this or doing that are going to be ejected from the stadium. But I mean, how do you pick out those people? I find that really hard, hard to govern. I would say that it is far better in circumstances like that to encourage, especially with national anthems and stuff like that, or a moment of respect, just stick to the applause, and that way we navigate around that very successfully.
Yeah, I mean, again, it was something that I brought up, obviously, as a topic, because I just don't like seeing it. I mean, I can understand when there's a drive, or there's a world issue that the players are standing for, and all the fans are on board for, and the taking the knee, I was actually on board for. But when you start getting people booing national anthems, it just, I don't know, it felt so disrespectful as a nation to be able to hear that, from whether it's England getting the song, England getting booed, or the Scotland getting booed, or when Australia's national anthem comes on getting booed as well. It just I don't know. It's a moment where as a nation, it's probably your proudest moment. If you think of a young star being debuting, I mean, one of the moments that they'll always remember, if you're a young kid, I'm guessing, would be that first national anthem. And you're representing your club. You grow up playing football, working your bum off, and then you finally get an England call up. I can't imagine if Hayden Hackney's out there, the young superstar from Middlesbrough, had to get that in, and he's got his first game for England in a proper full England squad time, and he gets the national anthem gets booed on his first appearance. I mean, it would be terrible, and I hope it's not something that's here to stay. That's for sure. So, because the disrespect.
Does it happen with Australia and New Zealand?
No, we don't. No, not at all. The one thing we get with New Zealand a lot is they obviously perform the haka for the and even during that, where it's just like it's like the war dance, before they're going to put I think the line in there is, even though it's in Maui, it's they're going to put our heads on sticks. And I've got a good mate from New Zealand who would hate to see it. I would if we were booing through that sort of thing. So no, I don't. It doesn't happen between the Kiwis and Australia, any type of booing. Because it's just a respect thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, isn't it? There are many rivalries around the world, but for some reason England fans seem to bring the worst out of those moments. I
thought a lot of Scottish fans were predominantly Rangers. I thought there would be a lot of Rangers fans there last night, and of course they sing the national anthem. As part of that. But it's one of those things, as I say, it's spontaneous on the day. It depends what the atmosphere is like. Depends what people are feeling like. But booing national anthems just seems to have become the norm. Unfortunately, I don't think we're going to see an end.
I hope it. Yeah, I hope it doesn't.
Don't even get me going about the amount of Rangers and Celtic fans who don't even support the national team. There's a lot of Rangers fans that support England and Northern Ireland, and a lot of Celtic fans who support Republic of Ireland. I mean, we've had religion in the show and that yesterday. Sectarianism takes it down to a totally different level. So
yeah. Totally agree.
We'll keep it all on this show.
We'll keep it off. We'll keep it off the show, Macca. Well said. It is a different level.
Yeah.
Shouldn't even be in football, but it is, and we know that. You got Hearts, Hibs, you got Celtic, Rangers, etc., all the way down the line. Fellas, I think we've done England, Scotland, England to death. There's plenty of other stuff we're going to talk about on the show. I know we're going to give Macca some well-earned relief. In fact, Macca, I'll play a song and you can sit back and just chill, have a chill moment. And then we'll come back and we'll talk all kinds of stuff. We've got a Man United fan coming on, so that's been lined up for the next hour. We'll find out about a Man United's fan's view of his own club and what the hell's going on with Jadon Sancho. That's taken another twist overnight. We'll do that. We've got to and Rye's got a new jingle.
I do. A new game and a new jingle to come for you. For the punters and for the boys in the studio. A new jingle and a new game. Don't you worry. This one's going to be directed at Steve. I love this jingle.
Oh, I can't wait. We'll do all that next across the Northeast on the Cat, the Red and the Toon. Now then, do you do sales? Do you fancy a great career challenge? Well, the Red, the Cat and the Toon has a full-time vacancy for a special sales exec. Not only will you be responsible for generating the vital revenue needed to see the Northeast's newest radio business grow, but you'll grow too. Show us you can do the business and you'll soon become Group Sales Director. Our stations are flying. We have the three legends back on air. Then there's the one that most are talking about, the Northeast Footy Brekky Show. And there's more to come. Gumption and creativity count more to us than years. You may only have 2 or 3 years selling experience, but if you get what we're trying to achieve, you will be the right fit. You'll ideally be located in Tyneside or Wearside. This will be a hybrid working role. It's a full-time basic plus commission position. So come on, think you have what it takes? Then give us a shout. Email any of the 3 stations. That's hello@thetoonuk.com, hello@thecatuk.com, or hello@thereduk.com.
Steve and Rye, the Northeast Footy Breakfast.
The Cat, the Toon and the Red.
Young Tina, hang on. Get rid of that. Otherwise we'll be playing
last night,
more
wasn't
music.
it?
Yeah.
Jude, you're simply the best from the England fans.
Macca, you're not going to escape the references, mate. I'm telling you. But apparently,
it's like being at one long dental appointment. Honestly.
Nice. Enjoy it while it lasts. Not. Hey, what's all this, right? About we've got listeners in New Zealand.
Yeah, so I've got a good friend, obviously, shout out to my good friend Sam, who's listening in, and he has reminded me, actually, of the time when Australia did actually turn their back. So we were talking just before the break about the disrespect during national anthems. If you've just tuned in for your Wednesday morning, we were talking about the booing during the national anthems of last night, and the question was asked, does Australia have ever had that? And I was trying to recall, and I didn't think we had, but I was reminded by my good friend that we did actually turn our backs during the haka in the rugby union at one point. And it's I don't know if anyone knows the name John Eales, but he's a legend Australian rugby player, and he was actually he's actually said by his own admission that one of his biggest regrets in his illustrious playing career was that as captain of the country, he had the Wallabies turn their backs on the All Blacks as they performed the haka. So it's one of the things that he still remembers to this day. Of something that happened in '96 was turning his back to during a point where they showed disrespect to New Zealand during that time. So. And there was a point as well where Australia started singing Waltzing Matilda, a classic Australian song, for those that don't know, over the top of the haka as well. So there was a bit of conjecture, but we haven't booed, but we have had a bit of back turning and a bit of over singing over the top of each other. So obviously the New Zealand-Australian rivalry is classic and well known and well documented for us here down in Australia. It's very, it's whenever we play each other in any sport, it's massive. But those that are listening, there you go.
It's a bit of therapy, isn't it? A bit of release from Rye. He's just getting it all out. He's laying on the couch and just getting it all out. But Steve, are you surprised? I mean, we've had sledging, we've had sandpaper, now we've had back turning. Are you surprised, Steve? Are you surprised?
Yeah, not at all. I mean, they're only human after all, aren't they? Everybody does a little bit of it, I guess. Every nation. So nice to hear Rye's confession there. But it took a mate to prompt him, and I noticed.
Is Rye going to sing Waltzing Matilda? Is Rye going to sing Waltzing Matilda?
I could bang out a good Waltzing Matilda one day, I think. Maybe I can put it into one of my tidbits, my little jingles for the games that I'm coming up with.
Really?
I could do it at our Christmas party.
Yeah, Christmas party. Work Christmas party. I love it. Oh. Shrimp on the barbie, lads. Soak it in. Riley McGree.
There's no singing coming, though, is there? I've noticed there's no singing coming.
I know.
Because he doesn't know the words.
Sing Matilda with me. Come on, Steve. Waltzing Matilda. Steve's got a dental appointment this morning, and we sang as we watched.
How wise?
What's that?
How wise of you not to attempt a tune, Rye?
Yeah, I think just a little bit. Yeah.
And when he started going, I started getting worried when he started going off script. I don't know what was going to come out next. So.
I got the dog sitting here looking at me weird now as well.
Keep it for the Christmas party.
Oh, dear. I love the shrimp on the Barbie line. I'm going to remember that one. I keep forgetting it every morning until you remind me. Good man, good man. Right,
Should we jump into the headlines?
Why not?
Should we jump into the headlines?
What a good idea. And
good
seeing as you're on form with your waltzing Matilda, mate, you can start with the borough.
Let's start it off with your Wednesday morning. Good morning, my Middlesbrough fans. I love yous, and don't you worry, we're on to the Ewood Park this weekend. But here's your Middlesbrough news for your Wednesday morning, that there are better days will be around the corner for Middlesbrough. Don't you want to hear that? Winless in the first 5 matches this campaign, Michael Carrick's first full season at Riverside Stadium has unravelled in an unexpected manner. This is the club's worst start to a campaign for 2 decades. Can we get Waltzing Matilda back on? But the EFL expert George Alex believes that Carrick's Borough are in much better than their championship position suggests. If they don't panic and keep doing... oh, listen to it. The background noise. George Ellick said if they don't panic and keep doing what they're doing, they will improve. Well, thank you, Ellick. He said that in a podcast as Borough return to action on Saturday. Bring on the championship football as we hear the glorious tones. Riley McGree, Tom Glover, Sam Severa. Ugh. Hayden Hackney also made his England under-21 debut on Monday. The red card-born midfielder clocked a full 90 minutes as they defending champions blanked Luxembourg 3-0 to start their 2025 Euro under-21 qualifying campaign on a winning note. On your Hayden. The Borough midfielder recently made the international switch from Scotland to England. What a choice that was after last night. Lee Carsley's Young Lions team also featured another Borough graduate, Swansea's Nathan Wood, who was actually close to a move to Southampton in the off-season, was Nathan, with Middlesbrough trying to profit off that one, not to be. Continuing their effort to spread mental health awareness as well on a serious matter, Middlesbrough jointly held a workshop with local charity If You Care, Share on the occasion of World Suicide Prevention Day. Players from the Borough Academy took part in the Sunday's event at the Riverside, and there was more than 5,000 suicides in the UK and Ireland alone last year. That is just a incredible number, and I'm very, very passionate about that. So shout out to the lads and working on If You Care, You Share, and more information on the Middlesbrough website if you want to get involved about World Suicide Prevention Day.
Let's go Newcastle, Steve.
Okay, Newcastle United have been dealt an injury blow days ahead of their crucial Premier League match against Brentford this coming Saturday at St James's Park. Midfielder Sandro Tonali has undergone a medical examination. He's been forced to miss Italy's Euro 2024 qualifier against Ukraine, which of course was yesterday. The reason given by the Football Italia was muscle fatigue. The former AC Milan player has indeed played a lot of football in the last year, including all 4 league games for the Magpies this season. Next Tuesday, of course, not that I've mentioned it, Newcastle will end their 2-decade-long Champions League absence with a blockbuster clash against former champions AC Milan at the San Siro. Ahead of the much anticipated match in Milan, Newcastle United have strongly advised that travelling fans follow the prescribed rules for a safe and enjoyable experience. If you pop onto the club's website, you'll find a link to go to, and the match, which is scheduled to kick off at 6:45 local time, 5:45 UK time, all away tickets have been sold. The interesting point on there is that they're advising you to go to the toilet before you go to the ground because there aren't enough toilets. Gareth Southgate, of course, is expected to remain as England manager until after the Euros, but who could assume the role once he steps down, or in the worst case scenario, if he gets fired? According to Jamie O'Hara, Eddie Howe is the one. Howe ignored such overtures last year, but the Newcastle boss did admit he would never say never. O'Hara also feels that results are going to go a little bit dodgy for the Magpies, and that'll make the situation at St James's Park a little edgy. Interesting comments there from O'Hara. I'm sure we'll come on to that at some point on this show over the next hour. But that is all from Newcastle United today.
Why are they advising you to go to the toilet before the game?
Because there's not enough toilets. There's not enough toilets. There are limited toilets within the stadium, and because of the amount of tickets that Newcastle United have taken, obviously the away allocation is sold out. There are not enough toilets at the ground in the away section.
What's the allocation? Do you know?
I think it was around about 3,500, but there's not enough toilets, Macca. It's as simple as that.
Wow. Yeah, that's crazy.
It is. So to the back tune of Bladen Races, of course. And there's obviously we've done Borough, we've done Newcastle. It's time for.
Brilliant! Something to take me off at last.
Oh, I could fly.
Go on, Macca. Give us the Sunderland news.
So the Sunderland news is that the manager Tony Mowbray has signed a new deal to 2025, according to Chronicle Live, and that'll keep him in the hot seat till then. Also, I've done it again. Also, yeah.
Go on, you can do it, mate.
Bob Murray is going to be doing a talking, which is called I would do it all again.
Yep.
And also, Patrick Roberts has signed a new 3-year deal.
There you go.
At the Stadium of Light. So that's really good news because Patrick Roberts is a good player and one of our influential players. So, yeah.
Then there was talk. There was talk before the window shut about him leaving as well. So good to see him commit himself to another 3 years.
Yeah, that's really, really good because losing him would be a big blow. So we're glad that he's remained on Wearside.
Yep. Should we do the chorus? See, he was on only a few days ago. Here we go.
He was.
I'm good. I'm glad it's the clean version. I really am glad it's the clean version, fellas. I'm telling you.
I thought you wanted me to sing that, Dave.
No. As soon as I heard you open your mouth, Steve, I had to talk all over you, mate, just in case.
And to be fair, I heard a version last night from the England fans singing it about Steve Clark, which I wasn't a big fan of.
Yeah, well, it's down to football fans. It's down to banter. It's down to their humour. Okay. Yeah, say no more. We've all done it. Steve, you must have sung some tongue-in-cheek songs from the terraces, haven't you?
Yeah, over the years, of course you have. Yeah, I mean, there's been plenty over the years. There's some terrace banter is what it was all about back in the old days when you didn't have to sit in an allocated seat, and you would be standing next to somebody who would come up with some quips every game. I mean, there was some people I did struggle to understand what they were going on about, but yeah, there was always some good, there was always some good banter. One of my mates actually, he'd had a few beers before we went into the ground, and me and my mate used to stand in the old paddocks in the Milburn stand next to the dugouts, and our mate used to stand in the Gallagher corner. And one particular day, he said to us, he says, "I'll see you at half time." And we went, how will you see us at half time? And he went, "Oh, just watch." So anyway, at half time we were standing, having a bovril, having a pie, and listening to the half time tannoy kick in. And as you know, on a match day, they always have the groundsmen who are on the pitch, and they used to come on with their forks and their spades and just prod the pitch. If they clear the divots, put the divots back in that maybe had come out of the pitch in the first half, and we saw this guy walking towards us who seemed to be like laughing, and our mate had actually managed to acquire one of the groundsman's coats. He must have seen it previously in matches, and he's walked onto the pitch at half time, and he's pretending to put the divots in, and he came across to us because he knew where we'd be standing. He went, "All right, lads," and we looked, and we just burst into laughter, which of course gave the game away. And he had the long arm of the law and a steward alongside him walking him out the ground. So back in the days when he didn't need a season ticket, so he got back in the following week, which was fine. But I mean, look, terrace banter is great, and I mean, you probably only get close to that now when you go to the non-league games. If you go along to a game now, in the Northern League, for example, and you're standing at the pitch side, you can give the assistant or the referee a little bit of stick, and he'll give you a little bit back. You'll have a bit of banter with them. You can have a bit of banter with the players and stuff like that. So it is still alive and well, terrace banter, but it's not as good, not as prolific in the big games now as it used to be.
To be fair, do Newcastle fans not sing "There's Only One Steve Wraith"? That's what I thought.
No, mate, definitely not. I'm a Marmite character, I think, amongst our fan base. You will get as many people saying nice things as you get bad things, Macca. But that's,
you don't have to tell me that. Yeah.
You put your head above the parapet, mate. You put your head above the parapet, mate, as I'm sure you're finding out, and it's there to be shot at, unfortunately.
Indeed. There's nothing more sarcastic than a good football crowd, though, is there? I mean, it's some of the stuff I've heard over the years has been amazing. I think we touched on yesterday the famous chant from the Holgate end when Liverpool used to come to town and Ray Clements was in goal. Is they just used to sing constantly "Big Nose, Big Nose" for the whole 90 minutes to the point where he would get so hacked off with it he'd turn around and give them the V sign. There's that. I remember a 5-0 Borough win in the FA Cup in Swansea in Wales. And the Borough fans just kept chanting all the way through the game. We all agree the Prince of Wales is English, which didn't go down too well in Swansea. But the sarcasm's great. You must get it in Oz, surely, dear Rye? In footy
we
whatever?
do. Yeah, we do. We don't. I was going to ask a question of you before but because we don't allow, like, obviously trumpets or musical instruments into the grounds. Is that allowed? Obviously, we heard last night in the England game the trumpet, and obviously when I watch the cricket, there's the Barmy Army trumpet or the drums going, and I absolutely love it. Is that allowed at club football level? Are you allowed to? So if I rocked up to Steve Wraith's Newcastle United with a trumpet ready to, give Steve Wraith a new song, would I be allowed in, Steve, or would I be banned because of the trumpet?
I don't think you'd be able to take a trumpet in, mate. That's an offensive weapon. Especially when you're playing it.
Certainly, I'm going to say when you're playing it, yeah. But you beat me to it. Good lads.
Yeah. I mean, look, I would imagine you must have the same over there, right, do you?
Yeah, we do. So one of the best ones we've got is with the banter and stuff like that is we've actually stolen it from one of the classic ones. If you remember when Luis Suarez played for Liverpool, the classic "Your teeth are offside." Do you guys remember this one? So there was a one started by Manchester United fans that for Luis Suarez, when "Your teeth are offside, your teeth are offside, your teeth are offside, Luis Suarez, your teeth are offside." There's a rendition for you at home. Don't copyright me. We have that here in Australia. Actually, there's an unfortunate player that plays for one of the AFL teams here who has he actually has one of the. He had a broken jaw a couple of years back, and unfortunately it's just never really sat back, and his teeth are a bit more forward of his nose, if you would, and we've stolen that now, and he gets your teeth are off, so we've stolen that one. But I do love it. I do love the singing and chanting. My favourite team, the Adelaide Crows, we whenever we kick a goal here, we have a crow. We do a crow noise, which I'm pretty good at, I reckon.
Go on, then. You can't leave us in suspenders.
Yeah, come on.
Look at that. Look at that. The crows.
Stone the crows. Yeah.
Hair on my hair standing up like we've kicked a goal. It just feels good. Are you ready for Rye's new game? Are you guys ready? Are you ready?
Yeah, go on.
Ready? Here we go. All right, it's for your Wednesday morning. I've got a new game for you out there that are listening all around the wide world web. It's Rye in your face, all on your Wednesday place, I tell you, with Rye's new kit game, okay? Here we go. It is Rye's Guess That Kit. All right, and I did have a little song, but it's I've gotten a bit nervous now. But I'll sing it for you, mate, because I'm up and about this morning for your Wednesday.
So come on, you can sing a song for God's sake.
It's Rise Kit Bit on your Wednesday morning. It's Rise Kit Bit on your Wednesday morning. We got Steve, Macca, Dave waiting, and it's Rise Kit Bit in your face. Love it. Well done. Thank you for those that wrote that in. I really appreciate that. That was good. That one. I need a trumpet back in
the amount of work that must have gone into that. It took you at least 20 seconds to write it. Good man.
It literally, I was just writing the last line before we got back from that break. Then just don't you worry about that.
Yeah.
So I've got a guessing game for you lads, much like yesterday where we were trying to guess that player. I'm going to give you some clues for kits. obviously kits, and for those that are listening from Australia, is called a jersey, but we like to call them kits, all right? Because let's be respectful here, all right? So it could be a home or away kit. I'm going to give you a little bit of clueage as we move through the show if we can't get it. And starting off today is a 2015 banger. All right, so think 2015-26 season, and it is a Premier League shirt, okay?
Manchester United
now,
away.
Here's your clue. It is not. All right, okay. It's not. If you had to ruin it, Dave, I swear.
Oh, sorry, mate, but they've had some horrendous kits.
They have 2015-2016 Premier League. Yellow may not be the most common change of shirt colour, but this new 2015-2016 shirt shows that yellow and black can work just great for the club. All the logos on the shirts are coloured in black, contributing to a very uniform design without becoming streamlined, and thanks to the fashionable collar construction that goes with. Do you want that clue again? Are we good? 2015-2016. Yellow may not be the most common change of shirt colour, but this new shirt shows that yellow and black can work just great. All logos on this shirt are coloured in black, contributing to a very uniform design without becoming streamlined, thanks to a very fashionable collar construction.
Right.
Get on the WhatsApp. If you have a no, 2015, 2016, could be home, could be away. Have a guess and tell me what kit is that.
Sounds like
it's fair to say I'm doing well at this game. Brilliant.
It sounds like an away kit to me because I don't remember anybody in the Premier League other than Norwich City wearing yellow. So it's got to be an away kit for me. All the logos are black and there's a pretty natty collar sort of piece as well. Okay. Any thoughts? 0330 043 2002. That's our WhatsApp number. Send us a WhatsApp message if you can identify the Premier League team 2015, 2016. If we get it right, Ride does not sing his song again. So come on, for God's sake.
I'll be quiet for the rest of the week.
043 2002. Absolutely fantastic game for Macca. Well done, Macca.
What year was it, right? What year was it, right? Did you say
2015, 2016. Yeah.
Right, okay.
2016.
Anybody can identify the jersey? 0330 043 2002. Send us a WhatsApp text 0330 043 2002. And
while you guys are mulling over that, I wanted to bring up our next topic of the morning because we're seeing in classic Saudi Arabian money style, as I brought that in for a Wednesday morning. There you go. There's the first mention of it. We're about an hour in. Everton are in a world of hurt at the moment, lads, aren't they? I mean, we're seeing Everton floating with danger of the relegation zone year after year, but currently now close to being sold, Everton, to another American firm, America, taking over the Premier League, and also obviously seeing their new stadium being built, which is now they've just revealed that it's gone up from a reported 760 million in costs, which was a raise of 260 million from last season that they said it was going to be costing. So figures quoted by the club last season were much less than what the new Bramley Morse dock could cost the club, reaching and increasing about 260 million this in the past 12 months. And we're obviously seeing Everton now close to being sold to another American firm. Lads, does America finally see the benefits of what an EPL team can bring to their business?
This isn't a great move for Everton. I've got to be perfectly honest. Their season looks like it's going to go from bad to worse because they're not happy. They're not happy with Mashiri. I mean, it's been a turbulent tenure on Merseyside for him, and although that looks like it's coming to an end, 777 partners. If you look into you look into their life and times, if you like, it doesn't make good reading, and they could be the next nightmare for for the Blue supporters. I just don't understand, why on earth they would even contemplate doing this. But if Mashiri wants out, then he's not going to be bothered who it goes to. He certainly hasn't got any love or affection for the club. You've also got to remember that as with Newcastle United's takeover a couple of years ago, then there has to be there has to be due diligence done by Mashiri. There also has to be a close examination of the potential new owners by the Premier League, the fit and proper persons test, which we had to go through. This could drag on. So this isn't something that's going to happen overnight. And ultimately, it would probably drag on. Not forgetting that Everton have also got the the inquiry coming up. The financial fair play hearing, which is going to come into place in October, which I still think will see Everton punished. I think we will, not financially, but with like maybe a points deduction. I still think that is very possible because they may want to make an example of Everton. But it would have been a Premier League examination. But the American situation, it does worry me because more Americans coming into the league I don't think is good for the Premier League at all, because like I keep saying, I feel they're trying to gentrify the game. I feel they love nothing better than away fans not to travel. They'd love all to be sitting there with our families eating popcorn, drinking soft drinks. I just think it's a bad thing for the Premier League, but I'd be worried about this. Look into 777 partners. Look into their history, and it doesn't bode well for Everton. And I think a lot of Everton fans, it's simply it's better the devil you know, I think. And I wouldn't be supporting this, and I'd be very surprised if the Premier League read what 777 partners history is like and whether they would accept them. But we will have to wait and see.
And just before we get Macca's thoughts on the issue, I just wanted to quickly note that for those you heard Steve talking about, obviously, Everton going under review. This is a massive, massive moment that could define Everton's season and the Premier League for every other club taking part. So Everton have reported, right, for this year, for the past 5 seasons, they have got a total of combined losses of £430 million. That number again, for the past 5 seasons, Everton have got a combined loss of £430 million, and it is believed that Everton's relegation from the Premier League could threaten the club's ability to continue. So this is how serious Everton are in terms of, we were talking about it yesterday with money of going around and potential finances of owning a football team. Everton could be in a bad way. Macca, your thoughts?
Yeah, I'll keep them brief because I'll be going to the news. I think Everton are on a total downward spiral, and I totally agree with Steve that this takeover, the investment and whatever, it doesn't bode well for Everton, and they probably should have went down last year and somehow avoided it, but they might not be as lucky this year.
That spiral has been heading downwards for a decade. That's the problem with Everton, and they have survived. Year on year somehow.
430 million in losses, Dave.
It's an amazing amount of money. Yeah, it's an amazing amount of money. And we were discussing how to manage a football club yesterday, and this is obviously one prime example of how not to, in terms of racking up that sort of loss, which is incredible. You're going to need a mega rich benefactor to be able to put his hand in his pocket, or her hand in her pocket. Don't want to bring sexism into the show here. To cover that sort of loss over a handful of years. So I think they need rescuing. I think rescuing is the right word. And the stadium build sounding a bit like HS2. There's a national rail project here, that's going on, building this high speed rail link between London and Birmingham as the first phase. That's going to cut nothing more than 20 minutes off a journey, but it's costing billions. And every year somebody comes out and goes, it's going to buy another 20 billion, or it's going to buy another 30 billion. So it's sounding a bit like that, the old Everton.
It does. I can't understand how they're pushing for a new stadium at this current time when they're obviously going under review for their financials, come October, and they're still pushing forward with a stadium that's now increasing by 200 and odd million per season the longer it goes on. It baffles me.
I mean, I look back at the Riverside, and I know it's 26 years old now, but that cost something like 25 million. We're talking Wembley was £1 billion to build. You're talking Everton here. You're talking about increases of 200 million. I just don't know how in the space of 25 years have costs escalated and spiraled like that for stadium builds. But there you go. Anyway, Macca was absolutely right. We're getting later and later every day. We're 5.5 minutes late for the news now. We will be back across the northeast with the Northeast Footy Brekky after this.
From Yarm to Yibby, Harrington to Horsley Hill, Swarwell to Silverlink. Steve and Rye, the Northeast Footy Breakfast.
Right across the northeast, the red, the Toon and the cat.
Post office clocks put up signs saying, and we'll all be lonely tonight and lonely tomorrow.
What a song, what a song, what a song! Delamitri, nothing ever happens. I'm sounding almost as excited as that man in Australia, I'm telling you. I'll be singing my own jingles next. What a cracking song.
Fantastic Scottish band, that's fantastic Scottish band.
Yeah, I know. It had to be, didn't it? Macca had to pick on the only positive today with that connection with Scotland. So, yeah. I'll give you that one, mate. I'll give you that one. Injuries, fellas. Something you mentioned earlier.
Yeah, injuries.
Something you mentioned earlier, right, about a guy, with the big teeth now who gets the mick taken out of him in the AFL because he broke his jaw. That's a mere flesh wound in AFL, isn't it? A broken jaw.
It is actually. We get some horrific injuries. Obviously, notorious here. In the AFL with lots of Americans that seem to tune in and go, you don't wear padding. And no, we don't wear padding in any of our sports down here. And obviously we get some horrific injuries. And I wanted to bring up
skin tight shorts, mate. We can't forget the skin tight shorts that these guys put in. Right? I think that's for the Sheilas.
When you get the Aussie sun on those legs, mate, oof, I tell you, they come out right. The old footy short tan. So.
I've got to be honest, mate. AFL, when I watch a game of AFL, and obviously, my wife and kids have now got Aussie citizenship and all that, so we've got in-laws over there as well and all that sort of stuff. So, my AFL path and my path do cross from time to time. But I look at that game and it reminds me of a sketch from Monty Python, which is the guy who gets his legs chopped off and he's like, that's okay, I'll punch her. And then he gets his arms chopped off and he's going, it's a mere flesh wound. Oh, so he's got no arms and no legs at this point. And the guy's in front saying, you want to carry it? Yeah, I'll bite you to death. I mean, it's that sort of injury that the injury list that AFL players get, isn't it? Oh, it's just, he's ripped his arm off, mate. That's mere scratch.
It is exactly that. I mean, we've got players reportedly playing just last week through. We had an AFL player who was injured he got a massive hit in the very first 5 minutes of the game, continued on, but you could tell he was just a bit off, but he still was running around and getting a lot of the ball. Turned out he'd broken 3 ribs. He had scans after the game, and he was running around for the next 3 quarters in the AFL with 3 broken ribs. So just goes to show you, it's incredible. A quick injection and what they can do. But I wanted to bring it up with you lads because for those that obviously we're a Northeast football breakfast show, we cover the Northeast football, but I'd be miss to say that I'm a big sports fan, and obviously for those that don't know, in the NFL, if I switch you to American, if we get, imagine us getting bought out by Americans. That's what I'm trying to do here for you, Dave. There you go.
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers from the NFL, an absolute quarterback superstar, who has just signed with the New York Jets on a 2-year, $75 million deal, has entered the game 5 minutes in, torn his ACL, his Achilles, gone, out for the season. Now, $75 million deal, 2 years of it, first season after 5 minutes of playing after that signing, has torn his Achilles and he's gone, out for the season. So I was having a think, and I wanted to bring it up with the lads about the worst footballing injuries you've ever seen at your club. Now, for me, down at Middlesbrough, the one that, I think of in recent times would have to be the younger brother of a certain Newcastle player in Sammy Amoebi. Sammy Amoebi had a nightmare campaign. Yeah, what did I say? Amoebi? Amoebi. I apologise for the pronunciation.
Amoebi.
Sammy Amoebi. There you go. I got it in the end. And obviously he departed after a nightmare campaign where he failed to play a single minute due to injury. Obviously, he was a Neil Warnock signing back in the day. And unfortunately, brought in from Middlesbrough, was going to be an exciting winger. failed to play a single minute during his time in a whole season at Middlesbrough. Lads, have you ever had a player that's been signed but has not featured at all due to injury?
Okay, here's mine, and it'll be no surprise to Newcastle United supporters. This guy did play for Newcastle. He didn't have, he didn't sign and then never play a game. But there was a player called Marcelino who arrived at St James's Park as a Ruud Gullit signing. He was reviewing his defenders after we got beaten in the 1999 FA Cup final. And ultimately, it turned out to be the most disastrous signing, I think, in recent times. Obviously, when Ruud Gullit left, we had the late great Sir Bobby Robson come in. But Marcelino was signed for 5.8 million. He started 22 games. But the injury situation is the one that we always end up talking about. And that is because, get this right, his most serious injury, which kept him out of action for 2 months, much to the astonishment of Sir Bobby Robson, was a snapped finger tendon.
Oh, what?
Tell me how you cannot play football with a snapped finger tendon. It's unbelievable.
Oh, wow.
Now, in recent years, Marcelino Elena, as his full title, he actually came out, and well, it was about 2 or 3 years ago now, and he defended his ravaged injury spell, as we would call it. He said he was treated unfairly, but he did remain grateful to fans for the unconditional support. But yeah, 22 appearances, lads, in his time at Newcastle. The broken, the snapped finger tendon was the injury that kept him out for the longest. He does say that he wasn't the only person who was injured and who was on the operating table more than on the pitch. But that's the one that stands out for Newcastle fans, right?
Snapped finger tendon. There you go. All right. Keeping you out of playing football. What about you, Macca?
He insists that the surgeon told him that it was 12-week layoff for that, and that he didn't want to be responsible for him pulling the tendon again and having to go back to surgery. He reckons he wanted to go and train with a team, but he was under the surgeon's instructions, which I guess is an easy get out because nobody will see those records apart from him. That's his story, and he's sticking to it.
Well, apparently down at Middlesbrough, we've got this. Just it sparks my memory. Our new signing, Rav Vandenberg, Dave, the young centre back, has actually missed a few games start of the season because his hand was stepped on in training. I don't know if you heard, but that's kept him out of a couple of games there as well because his hand was too sore to come on. So apparently he missed 2 of the first 5 games because his hand was stepped on in training and couldn't play because the hand was too sore. So I don't know. It's interesting. It throws you over to Jamie Vardy, who wears the hand brace every day. But Macca, have you ever had a Sunderland player that has the worst injury? Does one spring to mind that maybe didn't even feature, or a story like Steve's?
Well, obviously in 2017, Sunderland, when we were in the Premier League, had the worst injury record. I think we had 46 separate cases. But I think the one that I remember recently is Elliot Embleton getting stretchered off in a 1-1 draw, and then getting taken to hospital and out in an ambulance. And obviously, it's interesting because, like you say, there was a bit of a time when Sunderland were actually, we still really did have a lot of injuries, and then you just think to yourself, what do you put these down to? Like to bad luck, or to the training ground, or bad management, or because it's weird. Like sometimes with clubs, not necessarily just Sunderland, when they have 1 or 2 injuries, then they seem to get another few injuries build up as well straight away, and it's weird. Like London buses, they just come along all at once, and it's a strange one when you think how they all happen, because you've got to ask questions when there's like 3, 4, 5, 6 players out at once. And sometimes you have more players in the treatment room than you actually do available for a game.
We did have another one. We did have another one, right? Alex Baptiste. The Borough signed Alex Baptiste in 2015.
That's the name.
Yeah.
Was that from Arsenal?
Signed him from Sheffield United, but I don't think he had. Was it Sheffield United? No, we signed him from Bolton Wanderers. He went to Sheffield United on loan. So we signed him from Bolton Wanderers, and on his debut, which was a pre-season friendly, first friendly of the season at York against Borough, he had a double fracture of the leg. And and never recovered. And I don't think he went on to play for a game for Borough. Or did we give him a sub appearance in the last game?
No, he got nothing. Zero. He went out to Sheffield on loan. As soon as he was fit, he went off to Sheffield on loan. He never appeared for Middlesbrough.
And he never appeared. So we've got a bit of a history of this, it sounds like.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, that's incredible, actually, that you bring that up. I'd forgotten about him because, that's another one. It's incredible to see, in football and obviously with the transfers and stuff like that. Something that's obviously unbeknown to us here in Australia with the AFL and rugby and all that is the loan and transfer system, which a lot of, top-notch sports are kind of going down that pathway of the Premier League transfer system. But to see a player signed for, can you imagine having a player signed for 75 million, walks in the club? It'd be like Tonali now, obviously, with his, a muscle strain, being out for the rest of the season after, a magnificent signing for Newcastle. It'd be incredible.
Yeah, an interesting one. I mean, the other thing is, how many times do you see a run of the same injury in clubs, and then you always get fans going, "Oh, it must be our training ground pitch. It must be our stadium pitch because that's the fourth ACL problem we've had in the past 2 months." And you get all that sort of stuff coming in, don't you? Is that what you were facing at Sunderland, Macca, when you were saying there was a big run of injuries?
Yeah, basically, yeah. And you obviously it impacts you because, like you say, it impacts you on the. But just our injury list seems to just get longer and longer and longer. Yeah. And as I said, at the risk of repeating myself, sometimes we had more people in the treatment room than we did that were available for selection. We
had loads under Steve Bruce. I don't know what you were like. I know Steve Bruce was probably better for you than he was for us at times, Macca. But Brucey just seemed to have, a huge injury list, and we had injuries under Sam Allardyce too. Allardyce had so many staff at that club, you wondered how he could get anything wrong when he was at Newcastle. But I think when form dips and when things aren't going right on the pitch, I think sometimes injuries become more prevalent because players don't want to play. I think a lot of it's down to that. I always laugh now when I hear as well that players are too fit. And that's why that's why people pick up lots of injuries, because they're like finely tuned. And I was sure once.
Do you actually think that, Steve? Like when it comes to like the winter months and it gets cold and stuff like that, and say you're you're not on a great run. Do you actually think when it's winter and stuff, players think, oh, it's really cold outside, we're not doing great at the moment, I might just say that I've got a little knock or a little nickel, and I just cannot.
I do think that happens, Macca. We're only human, aren't we? At the end of the day, and I think footballers are human. They're gonna pull a fast one if they can. It was interesting when you watch some of these documentaries. The Arsenal All or Nothing documentary, for example. I think it was Tierney who didn't confide in the management about having a muscle pull. There was something in that series, correct me if I'm wrong, but he went off with the injury and it was just a strain, it was a muscle strain. And then he was asked if everything was okay, and he, in the week building up to the next fixture, he said yes, everything was fine. And then he played in the next 4 games, and it turned out after that 4th game, he went home and there was some kind of innocuous injury at home. I think he might have got out of the shower and slipped, and basically he's I think he damaged his ACL. But when it came down to the full examination, and Tierney was out for best part of 9 or 10 months. I think the examination had proved, and he had to confess, because obviously the physios looked at it and then the surgeons looked at it. He had actually done that. He damaged his knee, damaged his ACL in that original game where he said everything was okay. And it's one of those things that's like a reverse of what we're talking about. But I do think players can say that they've got a strain, they can say they've got this, they've got that, and it's something which maybe a surgeon can't find or a physio can't find. They've got to take the player's word for it. It's similar to when you used to come up to Christmas games, when there was the culture of drinking within the dressing room. Everybody used to like to have a drink, I used to see some players out before the match, and then like on a Saturday they'd get a goal. But I think a lot of those I think a lot of those people over Christmas time would get sent off. Maybe he's in the fixture just before Christmas, so they can have Christmas off.
I was just going to bring that up. Yeah, because we've got a famous one here in Gary O'Neill, obviously now the manager down at Wolves. Gary O'Neill. I mean, he came out purposely and said he purposely got booked. He was sitting on 4 yellows, 5th yellow. He would give him a couple of days off, and he said that he came out completely said it that he admitted to purposely getting booked so that he could watch golf. The Masters golf tournament was on. He wanted to watch it, so he came out. He said he forced another yellow. He knew he was close, and he came out and admitted that. Yeah, he literally admitted that he purposely got booked so that he could go and watch the Masters golf. So that's always left a sour taste in my.
Did he ever play
for a lot of Borough fans?
Play for the club? Again after that, did he ever play for the club again?
At the end of that season, so that was obviously around the Christmas break where he forced the yellow to have the break. He was then offloaded at the end of that season. So I think obviously when he came out and said that in the presser and everything like that, and he'd lost the fans as soon as he said that as well, because Middlesbrough weren't in a good way when he was we were struggling. And obviously, I think, one of the things that's always stuck with Borough fans is Gary O'Neill and him coming out to say that, because it was a tough time at that point for Middlesbrough.
We had another one as well who was famous for getting an injury at the end of the season, so he'd missed the last few games so he could disappear early on his summer break, and that was Danny Ayala. The centre back, and it became a standing joke every season with the fans. At what point is he going to get this injury? Because there's only 4 games left. Now, whether there's any truth in it or not's another whole new matter. The guy might have been injured every season, but it just seemed a little convenient to pick up an injury, a season-ending injury with 3 or 4 games to go, and that pattern would be repeated. But there's other ones.
Do you remember a guy who played for Middlesbrough? Hamilton Rickard.
Yes.
I've been conversing with Ham. He's he's in Cali, in Colombia, and he's still around. Is Hamilton Rickard, and he's agreed to come back to the Riverside for whenever this Mickelbeck charity game happens. So just for you guys. I'm sure Rye's all over it like a rash, but the idea is it was Mickelbeck's idea that we're going to get the Brian Robson squad to play a game against the Steve McLaren squad. So it was Robbo with his 3 cup finals, and that's Janino, Ravanelli, and all those.
Canned because of COVID originally, I think.
Yeah, it was. That's what it was, and COVID canned it. Then it was the Steve McLaren squad, which is obviously your Mendietas, Hasselbank, Vidukas. And yours truly has had the job of contacting all the players, and they've all agreed. They've all agreed to come back and do it, but it just became such a nightmare with COVID. Not in the UK, but it was a nightmare with COVID in other countries where players couldn't travel, couldn't be released, and then of course the Borough involved in the playoffs last year, so we couldn't set a date. So I mean, the latest for Borough fans who are listening is it has been discussed again with the club, and we are going for this summer. So we'll see if we can do that. But you might even sell the Riverside out. Hamilton Rickard has fond memories of playing at the Borough. He said he'd love to come back.
Yeah, you might even sell your ground out. You never know. You just never know.
Mate, that'll sell out 3 times over, I'm telling you.
It will, definitely, for those types of players to be back in Middlesbrough colours. And I know there was a lot of fans that were upset, obviously, due to COVID. That was one of the biggest things that came at a shocking time, because we were all excited about that game. Even I was seeing Duke and everyone back like that at the club. It's always good when we get the old faces back in the door. So I'm very excited to see that come off, hopefully.
And there's 3 players who can play for both teams. So Janino played for both squads. Mark Schwarzer, your mate, g'day.
Yeah.
Played for both of those squads. And Robbie Stockdale. Good old Robbie Stockdale.
Robbie.
Who managed Sunderland for a couple of games, didn't he?
He did. Yes, he did. And he was involved. She was involved with the academy as well. Sunderland. So it's going to be good when it happens. It's going to happen this summer, or it's not going to happen at all. I think it'll drag on too long if it doesn't happen this summer. But it's going to be good to see all that going on. How we're getting on with Rye's game?
Well, Rye's game, we've got a winner, actually. And it's Dunil, who won yesterday as well. He's obviously on your case, Rye.
He's all over it.
He's all over it like a rash.
So I came up with a list, right, of the only teams I could think of who had played in yellow and black. And I don't know whether they played in yellow and black in that season. It was Hull City, Cardiff City, Arsenal and Huddersfield. Those were my 4 teams. Did you come up with any, Macca?
I struggled with this one.
Well, obviously, like the teams playing in yellow and black are easy to think of, but it was whether they had an away strip of that colour. And it was that was the hard. But that was there's my submission.
And I was thinking, I thought Norwich, but Norwich, I believe that year went green in everything. I think Norwich went green in everything, so they had yellow and green mixes on various kits. Then, of course, there's Watford, but I didn't know if Watford were in the Premier League that year. So I'll be honest, since the answer came in, I've done a bit of research, and I did find that Watford did have yellow and black as a home shirt. However, Rye, you sneaky little person you, their sponsor logos were in colour. They weren't in black, as your clue gave, so it wasn't them. So I'm guessing it's congratulations to Dunil, who's definitely on Rye's case. Because he guessed yesterday's right, and I think he's got this year's right with... Do you want to sing the jingle? Or do you want to give it a miss?
I've forgotten it, to be honest.
Oh, good man.
Get my notes.
So, I'm not disappointed. He says Aston Villa away.
He has got it, ladies and gentlemen. 2 days in a row.
Well done,
Aston Villa away for the 2015-2016 shirt. Congratulations. I love it. It's actually very well done. I was trying to trick you with a few guesses there because it could have gone a few ways, but the key was obviously that the logoing and writing was all in black as well, and it was Aston Villa away for the 2015-2016. And yeah, it was what a good guess. I was trying to trick you. I was trying to make it a bit difficult. Maybe I've got to get even tougher tomorrow, lads.
Yeah, I think you do.
Trust me, it was difficult, right? Trust me, it was.
Might go back to players for you tomorrow, Macca. There you go.
Yeah,
brilliant.
Right, fellas, we've got to take a quick break. Then we're going to talk Manchester United because we do have a guest coming on. I mean, what on earth is happening with Jadon Sancho? I mean, it's there's another twist overnight with him now removing his social media posts. Is that in the hope he's going to get a game again? Let's see what's going on with United. We'll do that across the Northeast on the Northeast Footy Breakfast on the Cat, the Red and the Toon. Now then, do you do sales? Do you fancy a great career challenge? Well, the Red, the Cat and the Toon has a full-time vacancy for a special sales exec. Not only will you be responsible for generating the vital revenue needed to see the Northeast's newest radio business grow, but you'll grow too. Show us you can do the business and you'll soon become Group Sales Director. Our stations are flying. We have the 3 legends back on air. Then there's the one that most are talking about, the Northeast Footy Brekky Show. And there's more to come. Gumption and creativity count more to us than years. You may only have 2 or 3 years selling experience, but if you get what we're trying to achieve, you will be the right fit. You'll ideally be located in Tyneside or Wearside. This will be a hybrid working role. It's a full-time basic plus commission position. So come on, think you have what it takes? Then give us a shout. Email any of the 3 stations. That's hello@thetoonuk.com, hello@thecatuk.com, or hello@thereduk.com.
Clark.
My debut 1990 September, Bristol City away, to get that opportunity, what thousands of Geordies only dream of.
Hignett.
Playing against Chelsea and to score the first goal there is something that still lives with me now, and it's what most people will talk to me about.
Williams.
A first goal for Sunderland away at Leicester. It was a left foot volley. I didn't realise my left foot was for kicking a ball with it as well. I thought it was just for standing up.
Across the Northeast, it's the 3 legends.
Fridays at 6 on the Cat, the Red and the Toon.
Steve and Rye. The Northeast Footy Breakfast.
The Cat, the Toon and the Red.
B.O.B, Haley Williams, Paramore and Airplanes across the Northeast on the Cat, the Red and the Toon. Go on, Ryan. Go for it.
Morning, lads. So we got a special guest here in Melly coming in from Man United. Good morning to you, Melly.
Good morning, lads. How you doing?
Hi, Melly.
Good,
Hope you're well, mate.
Cracking.
Excellent.
Good to have you on for our Wednesday morning. I appreciate you coming on and spending some time with us. It is obviously afternoon for me, the Aussie, but we appreciate you coming in because everything Man United we're seeing at the moment coming through onto the radio station is absolutely terrible, Melly. And I wanted to kick it off, obviously, with a quick question about Jadon Sancho after we saw his U-turn overnight, removing the social media post that said he was the scapegoat after the dispute with Erik ten Hag. Melly, what is happening down at Man United and what is the stance that you think is happening with Jadon Sancho?
Well, to be honest, mate, I think there's somebody inside the club who's also wanting the Glazers out because the amount of information that's coming out, it's never been known, at Manchester United. So I think not only are the fans sick, but also some of the staff from the inside because it's ridiculous. We're kind of gone a day now without something hitting the headlines, And as far as Jadon Sancho is concerned, but as far as Jadon Sancho is concerned, mate, I don't know. He should have just put his head down, and just he went to America. He shouldn't have. He should have just stayed at home and trained and got back into it. This manager, this Erik ten Hag, he supported him. He gave him a lot of time off last year and. He's just, I don't know, he's bit, he's acted childish in my opinion. This is probably the only way that Ten Hag could think of possibly reforming his career, and he took the wrong track. He went the opposite way, and tried to get people on his side, and it didn't work. So now he's backtracking and deleting.
Do you think fans? Yeah, it is interesting, Steve. Is it? Have the fans? Do you think, Melly, taken what your opinion is on this in terms of that Jadon is the one in the wrongdoing here, or are there fans that are turning on Ten Hag? Because it's an interesting development from both sides of the camp.
No, I mean, I think you'll always get the player camps, will you? The devoted followers who'll blame the manager. But I think in general, 90% of fans are against how Jadon reacted, and they're backing the manager. It's not just Erik ten Hag that's had a problem with it. It's the England managers, it's City, and it's Borussia Dortmund. Everybody had a problem with Jadon Sancho and how he. So I think. Go on, mate.
I was going to say, I think a lot of our listeners will be listening to that and probably agreeing. I think also a lot of our listeners will be scratching their heads as to why you've got a northeast accent and you support Manchester United. And I did want to talk about that.
That was going to be my question.
I did want to talk about that today, Melly, because you and I have been friends for many years, but you have supported Manchester United home and away for 30 years now and travelled from the northeast on a bus full of Manchester United fans down to Old Trafford and beyond. How did you end up supporting Manchester United, mate?
Well, it's just a case of when you're young, and I was growing up in a little pit village, and nobody ever took us to the Newcastle game, but there was this one guy called Ian Hedges, and he I was a little bit of a tearaway, back in the day in my village because there's nothing else to do, and he kind of put his arm around us and said, "Look, do you want to come to the Manchester United game with us?" And he was travelling on the bus that I now travel on and have for the last 30 years. And I went down, mate, and from start to finish, it was mesmerising, it was, and we got to the game, and it's something that never left us. So I ended up supporting Manchester United. And before anybody calls us a glory hunter, it was actually Liverpool that was winning stuff at the time, not Manchester United. So that's where it comes from for me. If somebody had took us to the Newcastle game, it probably would have been all different. But
nobody can question you lightly, and I love the fact that last season, you and everybody on the bus, including the wonderful woman who organises the travel these days, got an invite from the club to go to the game, sit in the corporate, but also onto the pitch, and you were awarded a special token of the club's appreciation for all of you going down and giving the support to Manchester United, which was a nice touch.
It was lovely, mate. It was Brian Robson, Captain Marvel, met with, it was a lovely touch by a club that a lot of people are feeling distant from at the minute, but still they've still got that personal touch with, loyal fans. I just think that it was like Newcastle, with Mike Ashley, and I'm sure like a lot of you will agree, listeners and news fans on the radio station. When you've got owners, people think that the Glazers are these, like they keep giving away star player after star player, but it's not like that at all. Manchester United, they earn their revenue that they get yearly pays for all that. The Glazers, I've put more money into Manchester United than the Glazers ever have. They've never ever bought anybody. So what they do is at the end of a season and the beginning of a new season, they'll go and buy this marquee signing, Anthony, or somebody for 85 million to cover up the little rush spots that we've got, and think that that's going to win me over. And if I'm being honest, a lot of the time it does for the first 2 or 3 months, because you've got optimism. You're Manchester United, you're expecting a good season every season, but then the rot in the club comes to surface within the first 2-3 games. You can see it. The players are, Ronaldo did that interview which I disagreed with, but the good thing that came out of it was that he said nothing's changed from the last time he was there to now. Even the tiles in the pool were the same. Everything has remained the same. They've remained stagnant, while rest of the clubs, I was at Arsenal at the weekend and Spurs the weekend before that, and their grounds is just honestly, they're mesmerising. I don't know how any of you have been, have you?
Yes, I have, yeah.
Yeah, I've seen both Spurs and Arsenal's new grounds. Unbelievable.
Well, obviously, we're limited for time, but I just want to, before I hand back over to Ry, because I know he wants to ask you a little bit about Michael Carrick. Champions League, Newcastle United are in it. How difficult are they going to find that balance between Premier League and Champions League?
Very difficult, mate. I said it on one of our shows that we did, Steve. It's because it's your first time back in a lot of years. Trying to balance. You needed to bring a lot more players in, I think, in the summer. You did okay. But if you get 3 or 4 injuries and your bench then becomes weaker because they've got to come in, your bench players have got to come into the first team, and you're going to be playing on a Saturday or a Sunday and a Tuesday and a Wednesday, and then you've got to put the cups into that. I think it'll be difficult, but hey, you couldn't ask for a better draw. They're the type of teams that you want at St James's Park. And I was talking to my mate the other day, and if you perform, there's no reason why you can't beat AC Milan. And there's no reason why you can't beat PSG or Dortmund. No reason at all. So if Newcastle were to top the group, it wouldn't be a massive surprise. Going off your form last season. But the thing is, it's not just the Champions League, it's the Premier League and everything else that I've just said. So I'm looking forward to seeing how it pans out. But I expect you to do all right. It's at the end of the day, Paris Saint-Germain are playing in the Farmers League. Borussia Dortmund they are good, but they're not the best team in Germany. And AC Milan, they got to the Champions League semi-final last year, but it's Italy, isn't it? It's a slow tempo football. They don't like the fast pace. St James's Park will have to be your fort where they come, and you take the points from them. And if you can get a draw away from home, then anything can happen. But hey, you've just got to, enjoy it, and then hopefully qualify again next year. And then them players that you've got in that squad this season will have experience, and it'll be a better time next time round, So this year you're just going to have to wing it, and hopefully you do all right.
Okay, go on, Ray. I know you're itching to get in about Michael Carrick.
Well, Michael Carrick, obviously the ex-Man United amazing midfield maestro that was Michael Carrick, obviously taking charge at Middlesbrough. Just wanted to, Melly, to get your thoughts on how you've seen Michael's tenureship up at Middlesbrough. He had a fantastic season start to his tenureship last year, but obviously Middlesbrough bottom of the table this season. How have you seen Michael going up here in the Borough, and the overall thoughts from the fans of Michael?
Mate, we absolutely love Michael Carrick. I'm a bit devastated that he's a sitting bottom, and I hope it's just temporary, because class is permanent, and that's what Michael Carrick oozes. We had a little song for him at Old Trafford. I don't even have you know it, but it's It's Carrick, you know. Hard to believe it's not Scholes. It's Carrick, you know.
What a classic. See, Melly up for a bit of singing as well.
I love it. No, it's good to have you on. And just quickly, Melly, just before we let you go, I just wanted to talk to you obviously about that Glazers issue, and obviously the issue that keeps coming on year after year is the Glazers. And we're seeing a report this morning that Everton are close to an American takeover. Are you on board with Americans coming in and buying Premier League teams, and obviously with the Glazers at the moment, kind of wanting them out as a Man United fan? How do you see American takeovers of clubs?
I think they should stick to soccer, in a nutshell.
I love it.
They're not very good, mate. You know, like they're too far away, and they're not interested in the club. These people are just interested in making money, you know. Like, and you know, a lot of people have got a lot of things to say about Saudi and Qatar and that, but they're pumped into clubs, but they actually show up as well. You know, like you cannot beat an owner who's standing on the terraces with a coloured flags of their team on, egging their team on. You know, it's the only time we see the Glazers is if we're in a final. You know, it's all about promotion for them and face and stuff. And you know, to get back to the Glazers, mate, these are taking like dividends out between the brothers. You know, silly amounts each quarter, and it's unfair. You know, like they bought the club with no money. You know, they bought it on a loan, and that shouldn't be allowed. That the I don't know who's in charge of it, but the Premier League should be looking at this. I mean, even the government, they gone as far as the government. You know, like that should not be allowed. I wouldn't be able to go and, let's say, buy little today with no money in my bank and just say, like, you know, well, I've got money coming from here and there, and you shouldn't be allowed to do it. It's, you know, you wouldn't be allowed to do it at ground level. So why you're allowed to do it at such an elite level is beyond me. Like,
Good stuff, Melly. We'll have to get you back on, mate. We'll have to get you back on.
We will,
I've got to shoot for a dental appointment, believe it or not. So thanks for...
rather you than me, mate.
I know. But Melly, listen, great to have you on. I'm sure we'll get you back on as well, mate. You've been a top guest, and all the best, pal.
Cheers, Melly.
Anytime, all the best.
Thanks
Melly.
lads.
Take care.
Thanks, Melly. Cheers,
absolutely
mate.
Brilliant. And lads, thanks, Steve.
I'm off to get the drill in my mouth, lads. So I might be speaking.
Enjoy, mate.
I might be speaking with a little bit of a list tomorrow. Who knows? But enjoy the last 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Big shout to everybody out there listening, and I'll see you tomorrow morning bright and early.
Okay, mate. Well done. Good stuff. We'll catch up with you tomorrow. I love it. Interesting on Carrick. I'm sure that's something you were desperate to ask. Can't believe he's not Paul Scholes.
What a song. I mean, we all know his credentials as a player. It's just, I guess, now the question's creeping in of his credentials as a manager. We saw what he did when he came in, half early doors last season. But unfortunately, the questions are going to keep rising as long as Middlesbrough continue not to take points. And obviously no points in 10 games or so now is, look, I believe in Carrick. I trust Carrick as a Middlesbrough fan. I mean, I think he's the right man at the helm right now to turn it around. But at some point, in a results-driven business, if you're not bringing in the results, no matter the fame, no matter who you are, unfortunately, it's going to lead to the door. And I'd hate to see that for Michael. I honestly said, when Michael came into Middlesbrough, I said that he will be the first manager we see that is actually poached from Middlesbrough rather than sacked in the pre-season run. Obviously, we last saw that with maybe Steve McLaren when he obviously took the England job. But I honestly thought Michael Carrick would probably go on to take over back at Man United if something couldn't continue there, or Tottenham, or even there was links with West Ham towards the end of last season with David Moyes as well. So I honestly thought he would go into bigger and better things. But until he starts getting the results right for Middlesbrough and starts turning our fortune around, then unfortunately the questions are going to keep remaining around his tenureship. And I hate that for Michael, but it's, again, no matter who you are, how famous you are, how good you are, if you're in a results-driven business and you're not bringing in the results, then unfortunately something's got to change.
Well, somebody who's
bringing the next England manager.
He might be. Yeah, he might get poached as the next England manager, a bit like McLaren.
Yeah, he might be. I think he's got it in him. He's a great person, a great personality, and a great football man. But the results.
Yeah, I think he needs a lot more experience before he can step up to that level. I'm sure, even though as United fans from their own lips came about his class. But one team that is picking up results, Sunderland. So the good thing about Wednesday, Macca, being a Wednesday, is we're halfway through the week, which means we're only a handful of days away from the season recommencing after the international break, which is cracking news. So what have you got? You've got a trip to QBR, haven't you?
Yeah, I'm going to London on Saturday, looking forward to it. I love away games, especially. And we've got 2 in the space of a week because we've got Blackburn on next Wednesday as well. So I'm going there as well, so looking forward to them. And, just carry on our good form and the momentum, hopefully, that we built from the win against Southampton. So
I think the EFL computer just says whatever Middlesbrough gets, Sunderland can have the week after. Because we played QPR before the break. You've got them now. We've got Blackburn on Saturday. You've got them in midweek. It's I now know how the EFL computer works. Cut, paste, repeat. Yeah, brilliant. Are you fancying Borough at Blackburn? Right.
Yeah, I think I am. Look, we just need, we've had now the international break. There's a lot of conjecture. I think Michael would have gotten, all the boys together and, I don't know, as he said, hit that reboot button. And hopefully now with all the new boys in the door, they've had a couple of weeks now with the international break to be able to settle into the surroundings. And, he'll have near close a full squad to choose from. Will Michael come, this weekend? But we've got a tough run. I think our next next home game isn't until the 24th of September at Southampton, where we invite them to the Riverside. So a lot of away trips this in the next sort of month or so, but a lot of football to put it right on the pitch. And I just hope that we can find the goals and shore up that defence. And I believe in this club, and I believe in character to get it right. And that all starts this weekend against Blackburn at Ewood Park.
Yeah, I'll talk to you on Sunday. Let's see if we can continue the positivity.
Yeah, exactly.
Fellas, we're out of time. We're done for today. So we'll do the same again tomorrow. I think our focus will shift towards the coming games because it's been an interesting week trying to talk about local footy when there is none. So, good stuff. So, have a good afternoon.
Well, Sunderland have just announced a signing. Get on their Twitter, get on their socials. What? Sunderland have just announced a signing. There is literally 15 minutes ago, they've announced a signing. Get on there, you Sunderland fans. Congratulations. As of 15 minutes ago, the Sunderland socials going off. There is a new man in the door.
Who's it? Who is it?
It is that. It's the Ukrainian striker. It's the Ukrainian striker.
He's on Wearside soil.
He's here. He is. He's finally gotten his announcement video. Rusik, that's it. He's here. Yeah. He's got an announcement video. And he is ready to go. So congratulations, Sunderland. You have a new man in the door.
Well, there you go, Macca. You've got a new face for the weekend.
Yeah, he was announced a while ago, wasn't he?
He was, but he couldn't get in.
Permit out.
That's exactly it. He couldn't enter the country without the work permit sorted. So it looks like it's all been done, and he's around for Mogga to choose if he so desires at the weekend. Fellas, go and have a good day ahead. Ride, go and have a good evening ahead. We'll catch you all tomorrow morning across the Northeast on the Northeast Footy Brekky. See you then. Now then, do you do sales? Do you fancy a great career challenge? Well, the Red, the Cat and the Toon has a full-time vacancy for a special sales exec. Not only will you be responsible for generating the vital revenue needed to see the Northeast's newest radio business grow, but you'll grow too. Show us you can do the business and you'll soon become Group Sales Director. Our stations are flying. We have the 3 legends back on air. Then there's the one that most are talking about, the Northeast Footy Brekky Show. And there's more to come. Gumption and creativity count more to us than years. You may only have 2 or 3 years selling experience, but if you get what we're trying to achieve, you will be the right fit. You'll ideally be located in Tyneside or Wearside. This will be a hybrid working role. It's a full-time basic plus commission position. So come on, think you have what it takes? Then give us a shout. Email any of the 3 stations. That's hello@thetoonuk.com, hello@thecatuk.com, or hello@thereduk.com.
Clark.
My debut 1990 September, Bristol City away, to get that opportunity, what thousands of Geordies only dream of.
Hignett.
Playing against Chelsea and to score the first goal there is something that still lives with me now, and it's what most people will talk to me about.
Williams.
My first goal for Sunderland away at Leicester. It was a left foot volley. I didn't realise my left foot was for kicking the ball with it as well. I thought it was just for standing up.
Across the northeast, it's the three legends.
Fridays at 6 on the Cats, the Reds and the Toon.
Steve and Rye. The Northeast Footy Breakfast.
Right across the northeast, the Reds, the Cats and the Toon.